You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Rattled. Trump DOJ is threatening voters as Dems trounce GOP, based on an article by Adam Lynch. Phantom fraud. Real power. Trump's Justice Department is threatening Georgia over illegal voting in a state where the reported problem is already illegal, already rare, and already policed. The same day, a federal judge in Atlanta questioned the DOJ's attempt to resurrect Trump's old fraud claims from the 2020 election, while a Fox poll showed Democrats gaining ground across Georgia's top races. The power is not in the poll worker lying. The central fact is simple. The institutional power sits with Trump's DOJ, not with the voters the department is theatrically pretending to protect. Harmeet Dhillon, running the Civil Rights Division for Trump, is sending the letter. The threat of criminal prosecution comes from the federal government. That is the machinery here. Georgia officials are being cast as the problem, but they are not the ones manufacturing this story. Brad Raffensperger's office says it has already cracked down on noncitizen voting, conducted a statewide citizenship audit, improved a federal election database, and pushed for citizen-only voting in the Constitution. That is not a portrait of neglect. It is a record of compliance and overcorrection. The lie is the point. The article's own premise says the quiet part out loud. Illegal voting is not a legitimate problem in U.S. elections. That should end the matter. Instead, Trump's DOJ is using fiction anyway. This is not confusion. It is deliberate misdirection. When a political operation keeps invoking a non-existent crisis, the goal is not accuracy. The goal is to keep the public looking at a phantom while power moves somewhere else. The lie creates permission. The threat creates leverage. The claim creates a pretext. A judge sees through it. The federal judge's reaction matters because it shows the legal system is not buying the script whole. Billy Ray Roman, too, a Trump-appointed judge, sharply questioned the DOJ's effort to revive Trump's false fraud claims and threw out a sweeping subpoena targeting thousands of Fulton County election workers. He also found the 5-year statute of limitations had long expired. That is what accountability looks like when a court still bothers to rid the calendar and the law. The DOJ's move was not just aggressive. It was legally stale and politically rotten. The attempt to relitigate 2020 after the deadline had expired is not a search for justice. It is a refusal to accept defeat, repackaged as enforcement. Weakness is driving the panic. The timing gives away the real motive. The DOJ threat landed the same day. Fox News polling showed Democrats outperforming Republicans in Georgia's most contested races. Keisha Lance Bottoms led Rick Jackson in the governor's race. Ossoff was more favorable than Collins and even Trump. Georgians were more worried that Collins was too close to Trump than that the Democratic incumbent was too liberal. That is the political context the article buries under the fraud theater. The GOP is facing bad numbers in a state it once treated as reliably red. And Trump's answer is not persuasion, it is pressure. When Republicans are losing the argument, they reach for the machinery of suspicion. Audits, letters, subpoenas, prosecutions, and the same stale insinuation that elections are fraudulent unless they deliver the right result. The pattern is authoritarian, not administrative. This is what authoritarian politics looks like in practice. Not always tanks, often paperwork, a federal agency weaponized to discipline a state, revive discredited fraud claims, and keep the base fed on grievance. The target is not just Georgia. The target is the idea that election outcomes can be accepted when they favor Democrats. The article's framing is weak because it treats a hard power move as if it were an election law dispute. It is not. It is a pressure campaign built on a false premise, aimed at a state where Republicans are slipping and Trump's allies are trying to compensate with federal intimidation. The larger lesson, the story is not about election integrity. It is about who gets to define reality when a party is losing and its leader refuses to let institutions behave normally. Trump's DOJ is using the authority of the state to launder paranoia into procedure. That is the pattern. Manufacture a crisis, punish the wrong target, and call the whole thing enforcement. Georgia is just the latest stage. The underlying project is bigger and more revealing. When democratic competition does not produce the desired outcome, the reaction is not reform, it is coercion dressed up as concern. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article with the automated voice of LJ. Thanks for listening.